Go.
Hi everyone, I'm James. I am a psychology major at the University of Florida. My concentration is behavior analysis. Does anyone know what behavior analysis is? Anyone know
The
what it is?
analysis of behavior?
Yeah, I mean, pretty generic way of putting it, but what it actually is the scientific study of behavior based on the environment. And in behavior analysis, we like to focus a lot on the environment with external stimuli and external stimulus, which is the occasion for certain behaviors, or like different types of reinforcement for like gifts, like for good behaviors, or punishment, which we don't really use, which is more of an aversive. We use that more with we like to call it aversive stimuli. And we'll like punish behaviors that are not socially acceptable and put them on different schedules of reinforcement, like what's one? Like a DRA schedule, which is a differential reinforcement schedule of alternative behavior, which we use that more with like correcting, again, socially acceptable behavior, but an alternative behavior as opposed to like an opposing behavior, which is a DRO schedule, would be something more along the lines of like, okay, so your dog is barking, and he barks at strangers when he walks into a room. Or like, instead of barking, you might want to train him to go and get a toy or something, which is something completely different from, being a guard dog versus being like, just a limp dog. But if you want an alternative behavior, which is something that's relative to the behavior that you still want, so like maybe instead of barking at people, you want to sniff people or like address people and make sure that they're not crazy people, So you basically use a lot of behavior analysis with those kinds of things, and it's very applicable to a lot of different jobs, like dog training, things like that. But not today. But mainly what I want to talk about is reinforcement versus punishment. Reinforcement is the addition of a desirable reinforcer or the subtraction of an undesirable reinforcer. And punishment is the exact opposite. It's the addition of an undesirable reinforcer versus the subtraction of a desirable reinforcer. But yeah, it's really confusing. A lot of people will get it, confused just because, it comes down to positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement, and positive punishment and negative punishment, and there's just a lot of it's really not relapse. It's not like it just overlaps a lot. It's like learning another language, and a lot of psychology is like that. But the big thing is positive and negative, when you use those terms. Positive means addition, whereas negative means subtraction. So it really has no connotation over what kind of reinforcer it is, or what kind of, what's being added or subtracted. It's the fact that it's being added and subtracted. So, for example, an example of positive reinforcement would be, so Eddie got an A on his test. I gave him a stamp on his test. Not really awesome, but whatever. It's still a form of positive reinforcement because I'm adding a reinforcer, which is the stamp, to a good behavior that I want to see again. Whereas negative reinforcement would be Joanna did her homework last night. So tomorrow night we don't have to do the chores. So I'm subtracting something undesirable like chores, and in order to reinforce your, good study habits, work ethic, that sort of stuff. Then we have punishment, which is more of a, we don't really use it in psychology a whole lot because it's not like it's not humane, it's like a last resort method more so. And a lot of there's been a lot of stigma with it, like electric shock therapy. People view that as a huge punishment. But the thing about using punishment is it can never inflict harm on someone, which is actually something that the USDA and the DHS, which is United States Department of Agriculture and the Public Health Services agencies, they pretty much control all that and make it so that ethics are kept in place for a lot of experiments with reinforcement and punishment. so back to punishment. Positive punishment is more of like an addition of, it's the addition of something undesirable. So again, we could take electric shock therapy if you really want to go that extreme. And you could say, well, so-and-so is, you know, they would never do this. I swear they would never do this in the psychology field. But like, oh, this criminal, no, because they probably wouldn't say this criminal. Gabby didn't do her homework last night. Electric shock therapy for you. You know, like, that would be positive punishment, clearly, because I'm adding something kind of bad, pretty bad actually, to, you know, make it so that you stop doing a certain behavior, to, you know, show that I'm not pleased by that. Whereas if I did negative punishment, it should be more of like, okay, so I'm going to subtract, I'm going to take away, this is tough. I'm going to take away a, think about it for a second. See, it even confuses me until this day. I'm going to take away, I'm going to take away your video games because you didn't do your homework last night. Perfect example of negative punishment. That's actually the easiest one. I'm proud of myself for not being able to figure that out. But that's an example of positive punishment. So, yeah.